Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 13th September 2023. Brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. So these are the articles which came today in Indian Express newspaper, and these are all the articles which we are going to analyze detailing in the upcoming slides. Have a look at it. Thousands missing as two dams collapse, worsening Libya floods. So from the heading itself, we could able to know that there has been intensive flood that has taken place in the Libya, which is the part of North African continent, and nearly thousands of people have died in Libya, and this damage has been exacerbated by the damage of two dams. So this is what the news is about. Okay, let's discuss about how the news is being related to civil service examination. Under prelims, it is being related to Indian as well as world geography, physical, social, economic geography of India and the world. And under mains, it is related to important geophysical phenomena such as earthquakes, tsunami, volcanic activities, cyclones, etc. GS paper 1 under geography. Okay, Storm Daniel. It is the storm It is a storm that occurred in Mediterranean Sea. Right now, the Mediterranean Sea is seeing more number of intense cyclone, which is not the common phenomenon there. Why? Because this region has been historically a dry region and also a high pressure condition region. As a result of which, there won't be any kind of tropical like cyclones will be formed. Because the tropical like cyclone need to be formed means there need to be a low pressure need to be there. But because of the high pressure and dry condition that is prevailing in the Mediterranean Sea, there has been the cyclones will not be formed regularly. But because of the climate change and then global warming phenomenon, there has been increased incidence of tropical cyclone like cyclones is occurring in the Mediterranean Sea because of the increased heat of the Mediterranean Ocean. So as a part of the tropical cyclone like a cyclone which was formed in Mediterranean Sea, Storm Daniel has been formed right now there. Okay, this is what the stages of the cyclone formation. Initially, it will be in the form of waves, then it will be converted into disturbance, and then it will be converted to depression, then it will be move on to storms, and then finally hurricane or cyclone will be formed. And these stages are classified based upon the intensity as well as the speed with which the movement of the waves occurs. So this is what the Storm Daniel is about. And what is the obstacle right now Libya is facing in getting aid from the global organization as well as global countries and other civil society organization is because of two governments as well as two PMs. The eastern part of Libya has been ruled by one PM, and then the Tripoli, the capital of the Libya, is being ruled by another prime minister. So there has been two government which is ruling a parts of Libya. Why? Because after 2011, after 2011, during the time of 2011, there has been Arab Spring, a revolutionary activities that has taken place. As a result of which, the autocrat Gaddafi's government was toppled by the NATO's and other members and other countries which are partnered with NATO countries. After toppling the Gaddafi government, there has been contention between two peoples, that is two parties, and one party is backed by international countries and organizations, and the other countries, other person or the other party has been backed by the native military organization. So right now, the person who's ruling the eastern part of the Libya is backed by the Libya's military organization, and then the person or the party which is ruling the Tripoli, that is the capital of the Libya, is backed by the international organization or countries. So because of the tussle between the two governments which is present in Libya, there has been obstacles in reaching the aid to reach the last mile of the people, those who have been affected. And then, as we all know, Libya is the country which will be affected by the security related incidents because of more number of internal civil conflict as well as the conflict between government as well as military organization and so on and so forth. And then the city which was affected because of the storm as well as the breakdown of the dam is the neglected city. Why? Because after 1960s, when the Italy has left the Libya, there hasn't been any kind of development that has taken place in the eastern part of the Libya, right till now. The development as well as the infrastructure that was built by Italy during the 1960s is only still present there. There is not any kind of upgradation or new kind of infrastructure has been installed in those part of the countries. So it is now like a neglected part of the country, only, the city only. So because of the deficient in the infrastructure, the flood as well as the breakdown of the dam has taken place. So the city name is Darna. In that, the eastern part of the city is Darna. In that, the Wadi Darna is the river which bisects the city into two, where it will be flowing from highland to the south, and in between there will be more number of dam was built. In that only the two dams which was built way before during the Italy period as well as after the initial days when the Italy has left, that dam only, because of the lack of repair as well as maintenance, it has broken down and it has exaggerated the flood situation which was already happening because of the storm which has taken place in the Mediterranean Sea. And this Wadi Darna river is the seasonal river, and it is not perennial river, and it flows from south highland to south. Similarly, the dams are built across it to prevent any kind of flood or to store it. Since it is the seasonal river, the dams have been built across the river to store the excess water that is going through this river, so that it could be useful for the later period of the year whenever there is a kind of drought or the scarcity for the water like situation happens. So what is the reason for the dam collapses? As I said, lack of maintenance and then lack of climate strategy. Right now, according to UN, Libya is the only government that does not have climate strategy in its policy formation. So this is what the news is related to. What we needed to study further is, we should know about Medicaine. It is a term which was given to the frequent occurrence of tropical cyclone like cyclones that is taking place in Mediterranean Sea. Second is, we should know about geography. Third is, we should also know about World Meteorological Organization. So these are all the other areas which we need to be aware of. So this is what the analysis as well as details in relation to the floods in Libya is about. G20's climate action promise. See, the G20's climate action, they have pledged to triple the target of renewable capacity addition. Right now, the average percentage of capacity addition is around 10%. See, from the graph itself, we could able to see that 8.43, 8.46, 9.03. So between 9 to 11% it is the annual capacity addition across the globe in terms of renewable energy, renewable capacity is taking place. And right now, the current renewable capacity across the globe is 3,400 gigawatts, and in that 295 gigawatt was added in 2022 alone. So if they wanted to triple the annual renewable capacity addition, means nearly 1000 gigawatts per year needed to get added from the 2030. And the target, what the author is saying is that the target is achievable. Why? Because during the time of 2015 to 2022, the capacity addition has increased twice the times than it was present during the period during 2015. But what is the major deficient in the capacity addition that is right now taking place in the renewable sector across the globe is only certain handful of developed countries are only investing heavily in their country's renewable capacity addition. In that, China alone contributes nearly 48% of the global capacity addition. See, from the data, and with the China and India combined, they are contributing to nearly 50% of the global renewable capacity addition. See, from that, from the data itself, we could able to know that out of 295 gigawatts that was produced during the year, out of it nearly 140 gigawatt have been produced by China, nearly 48%. So this should not be the case hereafter. Why? Because every countries need to contribute for the renewable capacity addition. For that, what is the thing which each and every country needed is, first is building the knowledge as well as capacity of the country in relation to building the renewable energy capacity. Second is the solar mini grids needed to be enhanced across the country. Why? Because of the certain geographical as well as geomorphological phenomenon, the renewable technology could not be able to, the renewable grid could not be able to reach the last mile of the country. So by using the solar mini grids, we could able to give renewable electricity supply to the last mile of the people, those who are present in the region. And then the entrepreneurs need to be encouraged as well as promoted, so that new innovation in terms of renewable capacity addition will be taking place. So these are all the things which each and every country is needed, so that every country will be in a position to contribute to the renewable capacity addition or tripling the renewable capacity addition by the 2030. But first and foremost, what is the important challenge for providing these three things to a country have is, first is the fund. According to International Renewable Energy Agency, nearly $5 trillion is required for transiting an economy from non-fossil fuel to fossil fuel economy to non-fossil fuel economy. But right now the world countries are investing only $1.3 trillion. So the fund is the major problem for transitioning a country from fossil to non-fossil fuel based economy. And during 2030, and what is the other challenge is, during 2030, because of the increase in global warming as well as the related climate change, the greenhouse gas emission will be higher. Why? Because more number of energy demand or requirement will be increased. As a result of which, the corresponding greenhouse gas or the electricity that is produced from the fossil fuel will also get increased. And this increase in the greenhouse gas is way higher than the target which they have fixed right now in terms of tripling the renewable capacity addition. It is way higher than the greenhouse gas emission which is going to be emitted in the 2030 is way higher than the target which they have set right now. And these are all the challenges that faces the global country right now. But this is the one of the positive step forward in the direction of tackling the climate related negative impacts. And in that, international solar alliances, that is having access to fund, the problem for these problems are mostly faced by developing as well as poor country. And as not only fund but also the access to technology. The international solar alliances which was formed by India along with France, here most of the African countries are also member of it. Through this platform, the African as well as other developing or underdeveloped or small island state country could able to have access to technologies as well as the fund. So this is what the details of the news is about. How the news is being related to civil service examination is, under prelims, the news has been related to general issues on environmental ecology, and then under mains it is related to GS paper 3, conservation, environmental pollution, degradation, environment impact assessment. So let's have a look into United Nations framework for Convention on Climate Change. This framework for Convention on Climate Change got adopted in 1992, and for its implementation a Kyoto Protocol was formed in 1997. Here the India ratified it in 2002 and it entered into force in 2005, the Kyoto Protocol. In that, the developed country needed to cut emission by 5% by 2012 on the level taking 1990 levels as the base. Here the country has been divided into Annexure 1 country, Annexure 2 country, non-Annexure 1 country. Here in Annexure 1 as well as Annexure 2 countries, the developed countries are the part of it. Here they will be, here particularly in the Annexure 2 countries, the countries which are part of the Annexure 2 needed to provide help as well as support in the form of technology and finance to the non-Annexure 1 countries, where in the non-Annexure 1 countries or the non-Annexure 1 under this column, mostly the developing, underdeveloped and poverty country will be present. So the Annexure 2 countries which are part of it needed to provide help in the form of technological as well as fund support to the non-Annexure 1 countries. And this Kyoto Protocol was in force till 2012, and after that, and one important thing is US never signed Kyoto Protocol, and then Canada withdrew from the Kyoto Protocol after 2012. So this is the important part of it. And during the 2012, the targets need to be realigned so that the amendment has been made in the convention. So that amendment is called as Doha Amendment. But this Doha amendment is a flop. Why? Because it is the amendment which was intended to establish the to re-establish or revamp the plan for the period of 2012 to 2020. But until 2019, only some 120 plus country only has ratified the amendment. But if the amendment needed to get implemented, means nearly 144 countries needed to ratify the Doha amendment. But those countries, near the 144 countries, the count has not been reached, so that this amendment has not been implemented till now. But during the 2015 Paris deal, to keep the global temperature well below 2 degrees Celsius, and efforts needed to be made to keep it way below than the 1.5 degrees Celsius than the pre-industrial levels was made. And then during Conference of Party 2008, which was held in Poland, a city called Katowice, where they have finalized the rule book for implementation of the 2015 Paris deal. And in 2021 only, most of the global countries have pledged for net zero carbon emission. In that, India has also made a target of Panchamrit target. In that, India has said that they will be reaching the net zero emission by 2070. And lastly, and one of the important requirement of the 2015 Paris deal is the developed country needed to provide $100 billion each year after 2020. But until now, it is not, the decision in relation to the fund has not been reached a consensus. But because of the effort made by developing countries as well as other small island states as well as poor countries, in 2022 Conference of Party, which was held recently in the Egypt, loss damage fund was created for vulnerable countries, and the mechanism for its implementation is not yet materialized. But right now a fund has been created for the climate mitigation as well as adaptation activities that has been taking place in the vulnerable countries. So it is the first step in the direction of making the developed countries for their historical blunders. So this is what the historical aspect of United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change is about. So this is what the overall analysis in relation to the news is about. Okay, what we needed to study further is, we should know about what is the India's energy mix, what percentage of fossil fuel and what percentage of non-fossil fuel contributes for India's electricity consumption as well as other energy needs. And second, we should also know about IREDA under Ministry of New as well as Renewable Energy. And then along with United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change, the two other conventions have been made, in that United Nations Convention for Biological Diversity and United Nations Convention for Desertification. So these are all the other things which we need to be aware of. Gadkari mentions tax on diesel vehicle. Why is the fuel under pressure? Gadkari is our Ministry for Highways as well as Road Transport. What he has said is that Ministry of Road has planned, right now the planning has been in discussion stage only. They wanted to completely ban the oh, 1 minute, there is some technical glitch. Okay. Ministry of our Road has said is that the additional 10% levy needed to be made on all the diesel vehicles. But this decision has not been finalized and the decision is being in consideration only. And what he has said along with it is that India needed to find as well as embrace the alternative green as well as cleaner fuel for the target which we have made in the international organization, like that is reaching the net zero carbon by 2070. And the committee which was formed by Ministry of Road has said that by 2027 there need to be a ban on diesel vehicles which is present in city with a population more than 1 million. And then to reduce the greenhouse gases, what the committee has recommended is that if this is the one of the way where we could able to reduce the greenhouse gases and also promote the electricity from the renewable energy, so that we could able to meet the target of 40% of our electricity that needed to be produced from renewable source to meet the net zero target by 2070. And right now diesel accounts for 40% of India's petroleum consumption. And right now most of the companies, for example Maruti Suzuki has completely stopped the production of diesel vehicles and they have no plans to relaunch any kind of diesel vehicle in the near future. And other companies like Hyundai and other certain private companies have deleveraged or reduced their production in terms of diesel vehicle. So this is the reason, and this is the reason, one of the reason to reach the goal they are planning to increase the tax for the diesel vehicles. And what is the another important disadvantage for the diesel vehicle is it has high compression ratio. High compression ratio is producing energy from the available fuel. If the compression ratio is higher, means the higher energy is produced from the available source of fuel, and if the compression ratio is lower, means lower energy is produced from the same available quantity of fuel. And the diesel has higher compression ratio, so that it could able to produce higher energy from the available fuel source. But because of this higher compression ratio, it has the ability to produce enormous nitrogen dioxide in the atmosphere. And then second is Volkswagen scandal 2015. What is the scandal is that they have bypassed or manipulated the US as well as other European countries pollution control criteria to sell their diesel vehicles in that, by saying that the diesel vehicle which the Volkswagen made has pollution regulator in that tailpipe of it. But in the later period, after the defect has been found by the common public as well as the government as well as the respective government, the Volkswagen admitted it that they have lied or they have fudged the governance to sell their the products. And why the scandal is more important is that it has signaled that reducing the nitrogen dioxide or the emission from the diesel is very harder. And then right now India is leapfrogging its standard from Bharat stage 4 to Bharat stage 6. So if the emission norms is going to get leapfrogged from Bharat stage 4 to Bharat stage 6, means then the corresponding upgradation in relation to the vehicles also needed to take place. But in the case of diesel vehicles, the upgradation is the upgradation cost is very high. So the companies are hesitating to make the BS6 diesel vehicles. So these are all the reasons why the private organization as well as the entire government is in a mode to cut the usage of diesel vehicles. And what is the positive does the diesel vehicle has is it has high fuel economy because of the high compression ratio. Even though it is emitting more number of nitrogen dioxide, it has high fuel economy. That is, within the available fuel, it could be able to travel a certain longer distance when compared to the petroleum vehicle, and then it has more torque, rotational force. Similarly, it has we all know that comparatively the diesel price is lesser than the petroleum price until 2014. So that is why we could able to see that during 2014 nearly 40% of the commercial vehicles are diesel vehicles only, but after 2014 the diesel price as well as the petroleum price has been determined by the market, as a result of which the price right now, the gap between the petroleum price as well as diesel price has been narrowed down, and we could able to see that correspondingly nearly 20% of the commercial passenger vehicles or the commercial vehicles being owned by the people in the diesel engine. So because of these kind of advantage only, the usage of the diesel vehicle was higher. But because of this thing and because of these negatives as well as the goal which was set by India, making the not only Indian countries but also the world countries to relook at the diesel vehicles that has been running on the road. So this is what the news is about. Okay, how the news has been related to prelims is it is related to general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity, climate change, and then under mains it is related to GS paper 3, conservation, environmental pollution, degradation as well as environmental impact assessment. Okay, let's discuss about the Bharat stage emission standards. The Bharat stage emission standards is made in the line of European Union norms, and it aims to regulate but more importantly the Bharat stage 6 aims to regulate the particulate matter, reduce the particulate matter by 80% and then reduce the sulfur from 50 parts per million to 10 parts per million. Right now the BS4 emits 50 parts per million, and the BS6 also aims to reduce the nitrogen by 70% in diesel vehicle and 25% in petroleum vehicle. So this is what the target been fixed by the Bharat stage norm 6, so that the air pollution that is been happening because of the emission from the vehicles will be reduced when compared to the other previous Bharat stage norms. So this is what the details of Bharat stage norm is about. And let's discuss about India's renewable capacity. Right now India is the 4th in the place of renewable capacity addition, and it is 3rd in the case of energy consumptions, and it is 4th in terms of wind as well as solar capacity across the world. And in terms of encouraging the private people to invest in the renewable sector, 100% FDI has been made, and right now this is what the ratio of this is what the percentage of the power being produced across the different kinds of renewable sectors. So in wind power nearly 42.8 gigawatts has been produced, and solar power 67.07, biomass 10.02, small hydro power 4.94, waste to energy is 0.55, and large hydro is 46.85. From this we could able to see that India is producing more from the solar power. So this is the prelims fact. As I said, as we have discussed previously in the news, the other challenges in implementing the renewable capacity addition is fund as well as access to fund as well as skilled human resource, availability of battery storage system, and then availability of sun, because of the other climatic erratic nature of the climate, the availability of sun will be reduced, and it is seasonally only in the daytime only the sun will be available. So during the time only we could able to produce the solar power. This is one of the drawback challenge. And then geography as well as geomorphological region is also acting or hindering the enhancement process in terms of renewable capacity addition. So these are all the challenges right now being faced in renewable capacity addition in India. So what we needed to study further is we should know about renewable adaptation schemes. What are the renewable adaptation schemes being implemented in India? Second is we should also know about IREDA. Third is we should also know about International Solar Agency, which was formed by India as well as France. It is international forum to promote the adaptation of solar power. Singapore, US, UK top the outbound investment list. It includes 3 tax havens. So this is what the news is about. So from the data itself we could do, this is the data which is being released by RBI's annual survey on outward investment as well as asset of the Indian investors as well as the investor from the abroad. In that we could able to see that the outward investment made by the Indian investor is higher in terms of Singapore, followed by US, UK and Netherlands. And in that we could able to see that the 3 tax haven countries like Bermuda, Jersey and Cyprus, where the profit for the tax for the profit is 0 there. So that it is called as tax haven country, and these countries also have been the part of the top 10 outward direct investment from India. And the previous data was the outward investment, that is investment made by people of India in the other countries, and this is the total FDI flow in the financial year 23 in India, where we could able to see that 49.93 lakh crore has been invested or came from the foreign sources, and in that US, Mauritius as well as UK are the top 3 FDI sources. So this is the details in relation to the news. Okay, how the news is being related to examination is, under prelims the news is being related to economic and social development, sustainable development. Under mains it is related to Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment, which comes under GS3 economic and development topic. So let's discuss about what is the foreign direct investment is about. Foreign direct investment is the investment made in sectors other than stock exchange, and these are all the areas which is considered right now as the foreign direct investments. If the investment is made in it, means it is called as foreign direct investment. What is it? It is the shares acquired by the IPOs. Similarly, the shares acquired by ways of preferential allotments, and then the shares acquired by way of offer for sales through private arrangement, and then transfer of shares by way of offer for sales through private arrangement. So these are all the areas the investment are considered as foreign direct investment. Okay, what is the advantages that does the foreign direct investment brings is, firstly, it has less one minute then. Firstly, in most of the cases it does not create any kind of debt, and it is a debtless fund available. Secondly, it enhances the economic growth. How it is when the investment is made its way through to India means the production will get started, as a result of which the chain of activities in the economies will get kicked off, so that the overall economic growth will get increased. Similarly, it will also lead to human capital formation. Thirdly, because of increased in production, there will be enormous amount of output will be produced, which in turn will increase the export, and it also ensure the exchange rate stability. So because of the export, or the exchange rate will get stabilized, and it will get strengthened only. And what the disadvantages is that most of it has the ability to crowd out the domestic private investment. Similarly, it has the political issues that is happening locally in the country will have impact on the foreign direct investment. Similarly, there has been conflict of laws between the source as well as the destination country. The source, the country where the foreign direct investment comes from, and the destination, the country where the foreign direct investment goes to. Because of the conflict of law between those two countries, the foreign direct investment will get affected. So this is what the analysis in relation to investment as well as the foreign direct investment is about. So what we needed to study further is, we should know about what is foreign institutional investment, what is foreign portfolio investment, and what is the difference between both of them. Similarly, we should also know about what is equity, shares, debentures as well as bonds, and what is the difference between them. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. Okay, let's look into today's practice question. So this is the question of today's practice question. I want those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. Okay. So with this, we have reached the end of the today's session. Thank you, students.